I never planned to fall in love this way. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't dramatic at first. It was slow, quiet, and honestly, exhausting. I met Ethan during my first year at a university in Northwood, a small college town where everyone eventually knows everyone. We became friends almost immediately, the kind of friends who talk easily, who sit together without needing a reason, who feel familiar in a way that's hard to explain. Somewhere along the way, my feelings changed. At first, I told myself it was just admiration, then a crush. Then something I refused to name because I knew naming it would make it real. For almost a year, I carried those feelings quietly. I wrote about them in an online journal that no one was supposed to read. That journal became the only place where I allowed myself to be honest. I wrote about how much I cared, about how he made ordinary days feel lighter, about how being around him felt like home. Then one day, everything cracked open. I walked into the library and saw my journal open on Ethan's laptop screen. He didn't look guilty. He didn't look shocked. He just looked frozen. I said nothing. He said nothing. We both pretended nothing had happened for a full week. That week was torture. Every message felt loaded. Every silence felt loud. I replayed every word I'd ever written, convinced I had ruined our friendship forever. Finally, he asked if we could talk. He apologized first. He told me he hadn't meant to invade my privacy, and that he felt terrible for reading something so personal. Then he stopped talking and waited. So, I did the scariest thing I've ever done. I told him the truth. I told him I was in love with him. I told him I hoped it didn't make things weird or uncomfortable. I told him I understood if he didn't feel the same. He listened. Then he said it was okay. But he also had a girlfriend. And even though every part of me wanted to hope, I knew better. It would have been wrong for him to leave her for me. So I told him I would try to downplay my feelings. I didn't say I could change them, because I knew I couldn't. Life moved on, but my feelings didn't. I enrolled in a poetry writing course that semester, hoping it would give my emotions somewhere to go. It worked a little too well. Ethan became my muse without even trying. About 1 out of every 6 poems I wrote was about him in some form, sometimes obvious, sometimes hidden, always honest. Meanwhile, our friendship deepened. We talked more, trusted each other more, laughed more, and no matter how hard I tried, he never did anything that made him less lovable. I kept waiting for the feelings to fade. They didn't, they grew. Then everything shifted again. He broke up with his girlfriend. The breakup hit our entire friend group hard. She was devastated. He was worse. This wasn't regular sadness. This was real depression. Heavy, consuming, exhausting depression. I focused on being there for everyone, but especially for him. Not because I expected anything. Not because I thought this was my chance, but because he needed someone, and that's what I do. It wasn't easy. Some days he barely spoke. Some days he didn't leave his room. I listened more than I talked. I stayed patient. I never crossed a line. After one unexpectedly good weekend, he asked to talk again. He told me he cared about me a lot, but he couldn't love me right now. I told him I understood. I told him I hadn't been making a move because I knew he wasn't in a place to give anything back. That was also when I admitted he had been my muse. He smiled and said he was flattered. Then came spring break. Most students left town, but both of us stayed, along with a few friends. We spent long days and late nights in the common lounge of my dorm building, cooking together, talking, sitting in comfortable silence. One night, everyone else left. It was just the two of us. He walked me back to my room, still talking. I started laughing for no reason at all. He asked what was funny. I said nothing. He didn't buy it. So I blurted out the truth. I asked him if he actually wanted me to kiss him. He made a fake, thoughtful face, and we both burst out laughing. When the laughter faded, he kissed me on the cheek, said goodnight, and walked away. I was disappointed, but also strangely happy. Later, I went down the hall to brush my teeth. When I came back, he was still in the lounge. He looked at me and said something I'll never forget. He told me I was talking myself out of doing things. That was all it took. I walked over and kissed him. It was gentle, simple, real. After that, no sudden relationship, no big declaration, just more closeness, holding hands during late-night talks, falling asleep, leaning against each other on a couch, existing in the same space without pressure. One evening, I helped him clean his room. When we finished, we sat on his bed, holding hands, shoulders touching. He got quiet. Then he said he had been going about love the wrong way. My heart dropped. I thought he was about to pull away. Instead, he explained that he had been treating love like a logical problem, creating rules, setting criteria, trying to make sense of something emotional using logic. Then he looked at me and said I met every single one. Logically speaking, he said, I love you. I didn't overanalyze. I just kissed him. We've been together since then. It hasn't been very long, but it feels solid in a way nothing else ever has. I loved him quietly for months, patiently, without expectations. And now, finally, we're in the same place. Sometimes love doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it grows while you're trying not to let it. And sometimes the ending feels worth every moment you spent wondering if it would ever happen at all.